Come on in, sit back and relax. You're listening to episode 170 of the WealthTech Today podcast. I'm your host, Craig Iskowitz, the founder of Ezra Group Consulting. And this is our December news roundup, where we cover a curated selection of the most interesting news stories in wealth tech. And this is the very last news roundup of 2022, so I hope you enjoy it. The companies we're covering in this episode include DocuPace, Pershing, Envestnet, FP Alpha, Morningstar, Holistoplan, FMG, and Catchlight. But before we start, let me ask you, if you are an executive at an enterprise wealth management firm and you're having issues with one of your technology platforms, you need to call Ezra Group. Our consulting team has decades of experience with all aspects of wealth management technology, data, and operations. Whether you're looking to optimize an existing system, revamp it, integrate it, or replace it entirely, Ezra Group is the one you should call. We help firms like yours make the right decisions regarding the technology for a smooth back to front office operation. Please go to EzraGroupLLC.com for more information. And just one housekeeping item before we get started. Be sure to subscribe to the WealthTech Today podcast wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss future episodes. And now, let's kick this thing off. First up in the December news is DocuPace launches new productivity toolkit for financial advisors. DocuPace is a provider of cloud-based fintech digital operations software for the wealth management industry. And they announced the launch of their RIA Productivity Suite, which is designed to optimize operations for advisory firms of all sizes, empowering them to digitize, streamline, connect, and automate operations. Now, I really like what DocuPace has done here. Traditionally, DocuPace has been around since 2002, and they were mainly in the broker-dealer space. They're very much into enterprise software. They started out as a document management solution, providing SEC and FINRA compliant document management software in a secure private cloud. Became very popular with a lot of broker-dealers, especially IBDs. They claimed, I think, 13 of the top 20 IBDs, advisor groups, Cetera, First Global, Kestra, and others were their clients. So they've had a lot of success there. And they expanded from a document management solution into more of a back office processing and a workflow solution, really from their clients asking them for it. So they moved into new account opening, processing paperwork, connecting to custodians. They linked to all the major custodians and even a lot of minor ones. One of the things we liked about them, and we've covered DocuPace a lot on the blog and on our podcast, is their universal account opening. They can open up basically any kind of account, brokerage, advisory, direct mutual funds, like you might go to American funds. Instead of having to go to the website, you can do it through DocuPace. They can do direct annuities. You can do that through AnnuityNet or directly to firms like Jackson National, John Hancock, again, all through the DocuPace platform. You just configure it and it sends the data to where you need to. You might have to supervisory review. Firms used to fax or FedEx all the paperwork, and now DocuPace can deliver it electronically. They pre-populate forms and route things to the back office, and they synchronize forms and compliance checks. They also have other tools like advisor transitions for moving advisors' books of business. Another thing we like about DocuPace is their APIs. Of course, it is a group where we're really big into integrations. APIs are key. So they've got bi-directional APIs that a lot of the firms are using. And we covered this in January 2019. If you look up on the WealthTech Today website, Advisor Group built their own onboarding technology, which they called Equipped, E-Q-I-P-T. So you can find that a review of that product on our website, and they utilized part of DocuPace's technology for that product. But what is this precisely? So this new announcement of this RIA suite of services, this productivity suite, features a whole host of applications which can be very useful to a lot of firms. But one of the reasons why how they launched this and where they came up with this, moving from very strongly into the RIA space, was they called us, or they called Ezra Group, and asked for some help. So in the press release, they were kind enough to include us in there. Again, we do not sell any software for any vendors. We're just strategic advisors in product roadmaps, in market segmentation, competitive analysis, partnership analysis. So we do all that type of work for fintech firms all over the country, such as DocuPace. And so the RIA Productivity Suite is what they launched based on our advice to them. So we've covered them a lot, as I mentioned. You can check out some podcast interviews You go back to May 2021, we interviewed David Knock, their CEO, back at episode 99. We interviewed Rob McGill, who was the former founder of Giacomo, which was acquired by DocuPace last year. It was a compliance article. And then in October, just a couple months ago, we interviewed Ryan George, their chief marketing officer, about basically some of the things we had done for them in helping them move into the RIA segment. We did a piece, we did a series of articles, podcasts on moving into different client segments. We work with a lot of fintech firms that are either going from enterprise into RIA, as DocuPace did, or the opposite, firms that are having success in the RIA space, but now they want to move to enterprise. They want help. How do they do that? Who are the competitors? What are the gaps in their product? What are the buying decisions that an enterprise would need, and how can they work through that system? So the system of selling to enterprise is a very different sales process than selling to RIAs. So DocuPace came to us for that as well. And we helped them a number of things, and that basically came out to this new RIA productivity suite. And so some of the things that are in the suite include streamlined new account opening, which is one of their core products, workflow engine with a rules-based data validation. And some of this workflow that we like, there are very complicated workflow engines out there that require basically people who are very technical to manage. But the DocuPace workflow engine is designed for a business analyst to use. So you don't need to be a programmer in order to manage their workflow engine and connect to different environments or different systems, move data back and forth, and validate data through your workflow. They have straight-through processing. They have a forms library and bundling, an out-of-the-box CRM integration with Redtail, Salesforce FSC, WealthBox, and Practify. A digital organizer of compliant document storage, indexing, retrieval, and more, they say. How about that? More. So Digital Back Office Express, which allows end-to-end predefined workflows that include pre-configured custodial form validations and bundles, Pershing Advisory Services, Charles Schwab, Pershing, Fidelity Institutional, and of course the embedded DocuSign and standard wet signature solution. Seems like a very useful suite of tools for RIAs to automate their back office. If you want to learn more about the RIA Productivity Suite, please go to docupace.com. And if you want to learn more about how Ezra Group can help your firm, if you're a fintech firm, a WealthTech firm selling into our space, please go to our website, ezragroupllc.com. Our next story in the December news is Pershing X and Conquest Planning working together to increase financial planning efficiency. Pershing X, a technology provider and new business unit of BNY Mellon Pershing, and Conquest Planning, a financial planning technology startup, have announced they'll work together to integrate Conquest's financial planning application into the Pershing X platform. Advisors will benefit from a personalized experience delivered through a combination of artificial intelligence, powerful analytics, and real-time collaboration. That's from the PR Newswire press release. BNY Mellon has also made an equity investment in Conquest. The Conquest solution is scheduled to go live on the Pershing X platform in 2023. This is an interesting development. We're always excited to see this kind of news where firms are integrating more tools into their platforms, providing more capabilities for advisors, and basically building more holistic products for them. It's something we've seen a trend going on for many years. But let's talk a little bit about Pershing X. So BNY Mellon launched their new business unit Pershing X, led by Ainsley Simmons in October of 2021. And if you don't know, if you've been living under a rock, the new unit is there. They're multi-custodial platforms. They're building a brand new wealth platform from scratch. Well, not totally from scratch, but a lot of it from scratch, others from different components that Pershing and BNY Mellon have to offer a new technology to the market. Pershing X is one of BNY Mellon's top investment programs, according to Pershing CEO Jim Crowley. And Ainsley Simmons, who is the CEO, has held top digital posts at LearnVest, Northwestern Mutual, and PIMCO Investments. And at BNY Mellon, she oversees a team of over 500 engineers, designers, and product managers working on the new initiative. So they certainly have made quite an investment in Pershing X. Now, the Conquest integrated offering, according to the press release, will provide advisors a strategic approach to financial planning, combining both goals-based and cash flow planning. That's what we liked about Conquest. We got a demo last year. I got a demo a couple weeks ago of the Conquest platform, and we like it. It looks good. It's always interesting to see new applications come into crowded markets, and this is something we constantly see in existing categories. There's always new vendors coming in, even though the market is obviously filled up with other vendors. New vendors keep coming up with different approaches or just building on the latest technology. If you look at the legacy applications, MoneyGuide Pro, eMoney, and such, they're built on old tech. So it's just the nature of a legacy business. The more successful you get, the older your tech is going to be as you grow. And you become an opportunity for new firms to steal some business from you with a newer tech platform, newer refreshed UI, and so on. So we have Pershing X coming out, and we have them making an equity investment into Conquest, ostensibly because they want more access to the product. Now, what is Conquest planning? This is a product that first launched in Canada in 2020. It was founded by CEO Dr. Mark Evans, who was one of the creators of Naviplan, which coincidentally launched their first version also in Canada, but way back in 1990. So you got a 30-year separation between those two. So great for Mark to get back in the game again. Now, according to Conquest, from our interviews with them, they've built their whole platform with an API-first mindset, which we love. As Ezra Group here, we love integrations and anybody who's building out integration-first technology. And they claim that they use their own APIs in development, which we call eating your own dog food. You build APIs, you better use them yourself. Don't just build them for the outside world. Use them internally. You know they're going to work. They'll be tested, and they'll be solid. So we always appreciate firms that do that. They changed their methodology, or their architecture, according to people we spoke to, in learning from the mistakes that Mark Evans made with Naviplan, which was they didn't embed the UI, the calc engine, and data layer together. They made them all separate, all AI-based. So when the UI wants to call the calc engine, they use their APIs, which makes things a lot more flexible and able to build better, keep bugs from cross-pollinating between different parts of the system, and they're able to sell access to different parts of the system separately. Now, they're still Canadian-based. I believe the Pershing relationship is their first foray into the U.S. market, although I don't expect that to hold them back. They'll just basically modify things like changing registered retirement savings plans, or RRSPs, which are the Canadian version of IRAs, into IRAs and such and so forth. So they make those changes, but a lot of the things will stay the same. So they'll build that out. I like the flexibility, as we mentioned earlier. They run daily cash flows, but it's more of a blend of cash flow and goals-based planning. From what we've seen, it's still a light planning experience. I don't expect them to be replacing eMoney, MoneyGuide Pro, Right Capital, Naviplan, and so forth. But I believe, I don't have any inside information, but that Pershing is looking for mostly advisors who aren't financial planning focused to be able to use sort of a light planning tool or a slim plan, even though it can do cash flows, but still a little bit less of an in-depth plan than a MoneyGuide Pro eMoney would build. They're still mainly around the mass affluent space. They have estate planning and trust planning on their roadmap, which is not surprising considering Dr. Mark Evans being the founder of Naviplan, also running this company, that they would be looking to get into that space. Naviplan was they basically owned the market for ultra high net worth and very high net worth plans until eMoney kind of caught up with them. So they're integrating the financial plan into the end-to-end workflow at Pershing X. It's going to mean they can pass along more context about the client into the plan easier. You can move back and forth between different modules of the system rather than having to task switch from your financial planning tool into your proposal generation tool, for example, or other aspects. So you can go right from prospect into proposal gen, into implementing the plan, or into building the plan, and implementing the plan and monitoring the plan, conceivably all inside one platform. Much more holistic. We see this as a better way to go. You can track goals throughout the system. They're not just stuck inside the plan. And we've seen this as this equity investment. While it's not an outright acquisition, it's part of a trend that we're seeing over the past 7 or so years. If you look back on all the acquisitions we've seen in the financial planning space. So in last year, 2021, InvestCloud acquired Naviplan, which we just mentioned. And then in 2020, going back a year, Morningstar acquired Toronto-based Plan Plus. which is again another Canadian-based financial planning firm. Also in 2020, Tegra 118, the short-lived Tegra 118, which used to be Fiserv APL and is now InvestCloud Financial Supermarkets, acquired RetireUp. That's back in 2020. Envestnet acquired MoneyGuide Pro for $500 million in 2019. Orion acquired Advisor, ADVIZR, remember that one, for $50 million in 2019. And way back when, 2015, Fidelity acquired eMoney Advisor for $250 million. It sort of kicked off the party. So what are we seeing? We're seeing more and more vendors realizing that financial planning is not just an add-on. It's not just an external component that advisors use. It's a core component. It's a core feature of their system. It needs to be built in. It needs to be tightly integrated, more tightly integrated than you can get by just calling APIs or doing other integrations. You need to own them, or at least own a part of them, to get inside, to see under the covers, and be able to get access to more tighter integrations than your competitors can get. Well, otherwise, why would you do it? You want a differentiated offering. You want a competitive advantage. You can say, look, our financial planning tools are more tightly integrated. You've got a seamless workflow for advisors. There are less tasks switching. There's more data moving between the systems, less data entry, and a better experience for everyone. If you need more information on Conquest, you can go to conquestplanning, all one word, .com. And more information on Pershing X, go to pershingx.com. Envestnet partners with FNZ to launch combined technology, TAMP, and custody offering. This is an update from a story I originally covered in our October news. But back then, it was just a press release put up by Envestnet outlining technology partnership with FNZ, basically for account opening. That's all they really said. But apparently at the investor conference or investor call, earnings call, CEO Bill Krager talked about how they're going to launch a custody offering with FNZ. So that sort of released a flurry of new articles and new information. And I spoke to the investment strategy people, really trying to find out what was going on here. So there's a lot more to the story. So we're going to enhance our coverage, expand our coverage. Now, New Zealand-based FNZ was originally spun off from Credit Suisse as their technology platform and has major private equity backing from firms like Motive Partners, which owns much of Envestnet's competitor, InvestCloud, which also merged with Tegra 118, formerly Fiserv APL. Now, FNZ administers more than $1.5 trillion, and it is backed by $1.4 billion in private equity investments. Now, Envestnet administers $5 trillion, mostly through 100,000 plus IBD reps and RIAs in the US. So this is now a custodial partnership with FNZ and a two-way partnership where FNZ is going to resell Envestnet's new wealth data platform, which they just launched. But the custodian part is more interesting for the US market. And this is not something that's a new thought. We've all thought that Envestnet should be getting into custody or might be getting into custody for years. I found an article from Financial Planning Magazine back in September 2019, so over 3 years ago, which was titled, Why Envestnet May Be Your Next Custodian. And so they're a little prescient there. Some good statistics here. Of course, the market back then was a $6 trillion market for custody. It was still dominated by the big three, Schwab, Trade, Pershing, and Fidelity, with a host of smaller providers around. There was a report from a research firm called JPM Securities, which did some research on whether Envestnet should get into the custody business. And this was not commissioned by Envestnet, as far as I know, which said adding custody could boost their per advisor revenue by approximately 200%, which is quite a large percentage to do. Specifically, Envestnet could give away some or all of its technology and still end up with better net economics, which we think will be difficult to compete with. Not surprising. This is what every custodian does. Every custodian basically gives away their technology, whether it's Schwab, Fidelity, Pershing. Most of their tech is free because custody is such a lucrative business, mainly with the cash flow and other services that a custodian can offer. So not surprising they're doing this. But some interesting tidbits from this report from JMP Securities, that Envestnet currently averages approximately 10 basis points of revenue on assets per advisor, depending how the platform is used. And the custodial revenue could potentially add another 20 basis points to its bottom line. This will be huge for Envestnet being a publicly traded company where everyone is hanging on their quarterly earnings statements. So adding another 20 bips, 100% more would be quite an increase. And of course, they're going to be battling with Schwab and the combined Schwab and TD Ameritrade. Schwab's got 7,500 RIAs leading the market, whereas TD Ameritrade had 6,000 RIAs, so combine those, some overlap. Whereas Envestnet, according to report, has approximately 8,000 RIAs with 1.5 trillion in assets, which they could now sell custody to. Now, another good article I found, Envestnet FNZ partnership could alter the RIA custodial landscape, from wealthmanagement.com, and my friend Davis Janowski, a really good article, talking about the rumors and some of the lead up to this announcement. 2 years ago, FNZ bought a majority stake in State Street's custody business. Now they renamed it. I was told it was a joint venture, so I may be wrong. Rather than buying a stake, that could be a joint venture either way. To get a foothold in the U.S. wealth market, and the unit was later renamed FNZ Trust Services, with a minority ownership still held by State Street, according to Janowski's article. So this was a great play for FNZ to get into the U.S. market. Now they've got an integrated wealth management platform that has a lot of clients in Europe and APAC, but they really don't have any presence in the U.S. besides their Appway business, which they bought a couple of months ago. They do claim to have 8,000 clients in UK, Europe, Australia, and Canada, such as Barclays, Lloyds Bank, and Santander. And it also runs the technology beneath Vanguard's direct-to-consumer business in the UK. It's interesting, I didn't know that. So reselling custody should definitely be more profitable for Envestnet. If you look at some of their earnings reports, they make a lot more money on their TAMP offerings than they do on technology. I remember there was one earnings report where one of the big clients took their asset management and all their recon and other work in-house rather than outsourcing it to Envestnet's TAMP, and it put a big hit on their earnings. They had to announce that because moving back to just technology as selling technology is not as lucrative as selling asset management services, outsourced portfolio management capabilities. So adding custody will be another cash flow business for Envestnet. Let's see what else we have here. So the other side of this coin, whereas Envestnet is going to be reselling FNZ's custody and packaging it into their other technologies and other products, is that FNZ is going to be reselling Envestnet's data and analytics platform, which is called the Wealth Data Platform. This is something Envestnet just announced, but we've heard rumors about it as well, in that these firms, these large wealth management technology platforms, are leveraging other parts of their business to launch different services. Kind of like how Amazon launched AWS to just take advantage and monetize their own cloud-based infrastructure. Envestnet seems to be doing the same, that they've already got this data and analytics infrastructure internally. Why not monetize it? They brought in Farouk Ferchichi, who's now group president of Envestnet Data and Analytics, who has decades of experience in the industry working with Fortune 100 companies such as USAA, Gartner, Toyota, and Accenture. So he's taken the lead on their new data and analytics business. And they've also partnered with Snowflake, the data cloud company. They've become the de facto standard in data warehousing, cloud-based data warehouses. And they've got their own financial services division just focusing on that. This is contrasting with what Orion has done in a similar vein. T3, back in March, they announced their partnership with Amazon, speaking of Amazon, and their data platform called Redshift. So both these firms, both these leaders in this space, seeing data and analytics as not just something they need internally and not just a product they sell to clients, but becoming a separate platform that they would sell for other firms to be able to do their own data and analytics. I can see things like Envestnet selling their data model, saying, hey, we've already got a very detailed wealth management data model. Other firms could use it. That monetizes that piece of their platform, and other firms can build on top of it. I've positioned this with a number of clients over the years that why not offer your platform up as capabilities to other firms, sort of like Google Maps allows APIs to people to build on top of Google Maps, other tools. Why not do the same thing with your wealth platform? Allow other firms to build on top of it. You can't capture all the business yourself. enabling other firms to utilize your capabilities, different bits and pieces of it can be another revenue stream for you. Let's see. So we've got that. So with FNZ, they're going to be taking it and launching this outside the US. So there's not a lot of overlap between FNZ and Envestnet's businesses. That Envestnet is almost entirely US based, and FNZ is almost entirely non-US based. So with Envestnet reselling FNZ's custody in the US, and then FNZ reselling data and analytics to non-US firms, and that could provide a lot of value because Envestnet would get to see what's going on. So Envestnet would have access to dozens or hundreds of other companies that FNZ is selling these data and analytics services to run all their data through the platform and then provide things like next best actions to their clients. Some of the things I see Envestnet getting into is, for example, with their Money Guide Pro unit that they own, that creates 2 million financial plans every year. Tremendous amount of data. You could mine that data and say, well, hey, broker dealer, you've got this many clients, this many accounts, but here's a percentage that don't have a financial plan, or this percentage hasn't updated their plan recently. So you have a lot of interesting information you could provide to firms based on drilling down across all of the data available at the company. Now you're going to have investors going to have access to that data internationally as well. Of course, it would have to be anonymized. They wouldn't really see like any PII or things like that, but since they're going to be running their platform, they'll get a lot of data back from it, which they can then use to tweak their current platform and make things more valuable. So it's an interesting partnership between Envestnet and FNZ. If you want to find out more information about Envestnet, go to envestnet.com, and likewise, you can go to fnz.com. And now we're on to our lightning round. This is a new feature of our news where I'm just going to go through a bunch of stories really quick and give you my comments just off the top of my head. So the first news story in the lightning round is new FP Alpha tax projection update. This is from the T3 Technology Hub, written by my good friend Joel Bruckenstein. FP Alpha, an advanced planning platform for advisors, announced today the next iteration of its tax projection tool, bolstering its functionality, adding state and federal analysis, along with a multi-year unlimited scenario offering. So FP Alpha is a really cool application. They scan documents such as estate documents, tax returns, insurance policies, and then deliver advice on them. They've got a recommendation engine. And of course, with many documents, whether tax return or estate documents, there's some things that are just very commonly missed. Probably the 80-20 rule. 80% of the advice provided to most people when you review their tax returns or their estate documents or insurance policies is very similar. Instead of having to hire an estate attorney, CPA, or other experts, or either outsource that, you just use software. Use FP Alpha, and they've gathered insights from many dozens of subject matter experts, estate attorneys, CPAs, insurance specialists, and so on, which allows them to deliver this customized advice for advisors, and they can kind of scale their business without having to hire lots of other people or outsource to other people. It's much cheaper to do it this way. So they've added tax analysis called the Tax Projector, very similar to Holistiplan's application, which does something similar for clients. But this is a new update for FP Alpha, and just in time for year-end planning, so they can use this, and they added federal and state tax scenarios. So it's great, an opportunity for advisors to deliver some added advice to their clients. And speaking of Holistiplan, also in the news, LPL adds Holistiplan to their affinity program. Well, that really should read Holistiplan is added to LPL's affinity program. So LPL has a vendor affinity program, which they basically vet vendors and put them onto their platform so that their advisors can use them or not. It's not forced to use them. They are able to use them at different levels. And the affinity program has different levels where vendors are more integrated or less integrated into ClientWorks, which is LPL's platform. So Holistiplan is now on their affinity program. And then they can do things like look at tax brackets, like we're talking about the FP Alpha application. It scans in the client's tax returns, does things like giving advice, Roth conversions, Medicare premium surcharges. It's very complex software. They've got a bit of a head start on what FP Alpha is doing. Holistiplan also brings sort of crowdsources their advice. So they look for advisors, whether tax professionals in every state. So you've got 50 states worth of tax advice crowdsourced If thousands and thousands of little bits of advice that relate to each state, which an advisor gets a client, if they live in New Jersey, where I live, and they get a client in California, they may not know the tax issues there, but using the Holistic Plan software, you've got a whole database full of California-specific tax advice, which the software will provide you with if your client lives in California or maybe does business in California, has a house in California, whatever tax-related issues. Holistic Plan launched in 2019. They won the XY Planning Network's 2019 award for the newest fintech competitors. And the Affinity program, if you want to find out more about the Affinity program, I interviewed John Rajes, who is the head of their partnership program, in episode 158 of the podcast. And if you want to even hear more about LPL, I interviewed their new Chief Product Officer, Kabir Sethi, in episode 164. Next are up on the list here. We're trying to go through these pretty quickly here. Morningstar Wealth jumps into the direct indexing game. This is from an article in Investment News by Jeff Benjamin. So what is Morningstar doing here? They are building on top of their SMA platform, where they have about $12 billion in assets, and adding direct indexing features. This is something they've been pitching, or rather previewing, for a while. They did a pilot program with 90 financial advisors. They think it's a big trend. Talking to Daniel Needham, president of Morningstar Wealth, they believe that this focus on tax management capabilities is also important, ease of use. If they see direct indexing as being something that makes it a lot easier for advisors to deliver advice to clients, to deliver customized solutions, especially with the elimination of commissions and fractional shares. It's really exploded the direct indexing market. We're seeing a lot more, of course, a lot more firms. There's a huge run in of firms buying up these smaller direct indexing providers. Now Morningstar decided to build their own, and it's probably going to go hand in hand with their TAMP offering, which we've written about. We also had Daniel Needham on the podcast. I think that was episode 154. You can check out my interview there, talking about their refreshed TAMP offering, where they brought in SmartX Advisory as the underlying technology for their TAMP. Next up, in the lightning round, FMG integrates with Catchlight. So what is FMG? What is Catchlight? FMG is a digital marketing platform, one of the leading digital marketing platforms. They've probably got the highest market share, especially in the enterprise space. And you can check them out at fmgsuite.com. And they've also bought a number of companies to grow their market share. They recently bought a company called Vestrally, which had been one of the very first digital marketing companies in the advisory space. And they've got some very interesting AI technology that FMG is going to be using to customize some of their content. But their integration with Catchlight is a startup, an AI-driven lead generation platform, which was incubated in Fidelity Labs. And they do a very cool thing. They link into the CRM, pull out all the prospective clients, and they search publicly available databases, and they have the ability to make an estimate of each prospect's financial complexity, which then translates into something called a Catchlight score. And then they present that to the advisor as a next best action, saying, here is your prospects, list of prospects, organized by the ones we think you should be talking to first. Super helpful for advisors, especially if you have hundreds of prospects in your pipeline, knowing which ones you should focus on, which ones have a higher probability of conversion, can save tremendous amounts of time and should increase the conversion rate of advisors, which is something that Catchlight says they have seen in their work so far with the clients that they've worked with. Their analytics engine, which has access to some 2.5 billion data points from different sources of publicly available data, enables them to deliver this Catchlight score for advisors. What the integration is, when you'll see your list of prospects sorted, ranked by your Catchlight score, you then can just click on a button and it'll open up an FMG window, will pop up, pulling in personalized content from FMG's content library that the advisor can then send out to that specific prospect, either social media posts, blogs, emails, and that will, they believe that will provide a much more personalized experience and increase conversion rates by providing that type of targeted advertising or targeted marketing to clients. And that's all we have for the lightning round. Also check out Catchlight at catchlight.ai. That's the website catchlight.ai. Now it's time for that part of the news where we review changes in the Keith's Ezra Advisor Tech Solutions map. This map is produced by Michael Keith's and myself, and we go through it and review all the new vendors that are coming on each month. There's usually a bunch. The industry is changing over time, and the map is changing over time. You can find the latest copy of the map on keithsis.com. So what has changed? I'm going to go category by category and list the changes. Behavior assessments category. We added shaping wealth. You can check them out at shapingwealth.com and their outsourced chief behavioral officer experience. Next up is digital marketing. There was an update. Tiffin Wealth changed their name to Tiffin Clout. And then we added two new vendors. One's called Financial Funnel. You can check them out at financialfunnel.com. Get clients to a personal site with a financial health quiz built for you free in under 24 hours, according to the website. And then the next one was Denim Social. Denimsocial.com. Connect and convert on social. Successfully scale conversion optimized campaigns across all social media channels. Very cool. And next, that's digital marketing. Portfolio management. We added Alt Exchange. We're seeing an expansion of alternative investment in the alternative investment category. That might become its own category on the map. Right now, it's lumped into portfolio management. So Alt Exchange, you can check them out at altexchange.com. Lead generation. We added Ramsey Solution, ramseysolution.com. Invest in your future with a smart advisor pro. Check out the website. Do you really need a pro? Save you time, teach you, think picture big. Investing pro, lead gen. Let's see what else we got here. Custodial platforms, new player in the space, Entrustity. This is a new all digital first custodial platform. I've spoken to these guys a number of times. Entrustity. Very interesting to see a new custodian come onto the scene. I think I spoke to them first last year, and they're growing pretty quick in the RIA segment. They've got a decent technology platform as well, which puts them in the custodial platform category. All right, Planning Light, Projection Lab, very cool. We saw this at the XYPN conference. They did their new tech contest where some new vendors came up, gave demos. They have a very interesting product in the planning space. Lots of cool graphics on it, workflow, process through the whole planning phase, visualizing the entire client's financial life. Very interesting stuff. You should check them out at projectionlab.com. What else do we have here? Specialized planning estate. We deleted something. RIA executive assistant is no more. Sad to say, have to get rid of them. They are gone. Specialized planning other. We added two. One is called Careful, and that is savings, credit, identity, and family passwords guarded from threats, thieves, everyday money mistakes. So it's sort of we have it under estate planning, but it's basically for families to put all of their information in one place, like a vault, your bill payments, your accounts and such, which is, I think, very useful. A lot of families don't know. I was just talking to some friends with their parents, and the kids don't really know what the parents have. I mean, they think they do, but they really haven't checked recently. And they were just with the conversation we started, they found out, oh, you're doing this, you're doing that. We don't know. Where's your passwords? Where's your statements? How do we find out? You don't want to have to go through all this. When something terrible happens, you should get it all sorted out with a product like Careful. And finally, the last addition to the Keith's Ezra Advisor Tech Solutions map is Sora Finance. Sora Finance, very interesting product. They won the XYPN Planning Advisor Tech contest this year, and for new vendors in the space. And they help financial advisors offer lending products. They really, what they do is they help advisors evaluate their clients' current loans, whether they are home loans for mortgages or auto loans or other types of loans, and then using their technology, go out on the market and check other lenders to try to find the same loan for a lower rate. and they seem to have some good success. They claim they've saved a lot of money for their clients. They're still growing quickly, still small, but you want to get it on the ground floor with these guys. You can check them out at sorafinance.com. The only other change in the map, if you're looking at it, I posted on Twitter, highlighted all of the icons that were added and removed from the map. You can check it out on my Twitter feed at Craig Iskowitz. And one minor change, the cash management and healthcare, Medicare categories were moved. So they're in a different location, just up above where they were before, and then kind of smushed together there. So just in case you're looking for them over on the far right of the map. That's all we got this month. We'll come back again with more updates on the WealthTech map next month. And finally, in the news, we're talking about our Ezra Group WealthTech integration score update for the month. Not a lot of changes going on this month in front of the scenes, but behind the scenes, we're making a lot of updates, doing a lot of work. Of course, adding vendors, rescoring them as they get added to the Keith's Ezra map. They're going to get their AdvisorTech integration score. And you can find the AdvisorTech integration score, the Ezra Group WealthTech integration score on EzraGroupLLC.com. On our main page or under what we do, you can see that score. You can look up any vendor you like. You can also see our scores on the Keith's AdvisorTech directory over Keith's.com. We're making some changes behind the scenes to the depth scoring calculator. We want to give some firms a little bit more credit when they build out very deep integrations with other vendors. You want to encourage that. So we're bumping up the scores a little bit when it comes to firms that have those deeper integrations. You won't see that until next month. That's when that is coming out. But if you are a vendor with application on the Keith's Ezra map, please contact us about filling out a survey about your integrations. Right now, all the data we're getting is the publicly available data. So if it's not on your website, we're not going to know about it. So please contact us, EzraGroupLLC.com, to fill out a survey, and it will definitely help your Ezra Group WealthTech integration score, I promise you. And that's it. You've listened to the full news for December. Thanks for listening. And please go to our website, EzraGroupLLC.com, scroll to the bottom of the home page, and subscribe to our newsletter. Once a month, you'll receive an email chock full of wealth management goodness, news, updates, alerts, all kinds of information. You will not be disappointed. Thanks for listening. Talk to you all again next